I would like to welcome you all for joining today for His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj's online class. Thank you all for joining today and welcome. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll be continuing with Canto 1, Chapter 17, text 17 onwards. Hare Krishna.
Audible. Glories to Prabhupada. My obeisances to everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Etadvad pandaveyamam yuktamartam bhayam vachaha ye samgunanganai Krishno dautyado bhagavan kritaha. Now Dharma is responding to all of the statements made in the last series of verses by Maharaj Parikshit as he declares himself the protector of the innocent and the destroyer of the miscreants, and wants to know who has caused Dharma in the form of a bull such horrible sufferings. Now Dharma is responding here. Dharma is the personality of religion, personification as a bull. The personality of religion said, "These words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty, captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas. Even Lord Krishna, the personality of God, had performed duties as a messenger." I hear Dharma is glorifying the glories of the Pandavas, that even Krishna himself acted as their personal messenger. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The assurances and challenges made by Maharaj Pariksit are never exaggerations of his real power. The Maharaj said that even the denizens of heaven could not escape his stringent government if they were violators of religious principles. He was not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace. And any promise made by the devotee, though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. The Pandavas, by their unalloyed devotional service and full surrender unto the Lord, made it possible for the Lord to become a chariot driver, or sometimes their letter messenger. Such duties executed by the Lord for his devotees are always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants to render service to his unalloyed devotee, whose life has no other engagement than to serve the Lord with full love and devotion. Maharaj Parikshit, grandson Arjun, the celebrated friendly servitor of the Lord, was a pure devotee of the Lord like his grandfather, and therefore the Lord was always with him, even from the time when he was helplessly lying in the womb of his mother and was attacked by the blazing Brahmastra weapon of Asvatthama. A devotee is always under the protection of the Lord, and therefore the assurance of protection by Maharaj Parikshit could never be without meaning. The personality of religion accepted this fact and thus thanked the king for his being true to his exalted position. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyana Jana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya Satarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here we have something really impossible to understand, but still a reality. And that is the devotee, the Lord's love for his devotee is so great that he takes the position of serving his devotee in different ways. Therefore, to become a devotee of the Lord is not a small thing. It's not a cheap thing. You might even say it's not an easy thing, because one who comes to the platform of wanting to serve the Lord without any personal motivation becomes purified, and that purified personality is giving complete protection and even personal service by the Lord, as we see here how the Pandavas, when Duryodhana was harassing the Pandavas in so many ways by putting them in difficult situations and ultimately trying to kill them, especially with the plan of the house of black, where they were placed in this house and the house was set on fire. That was a plan to destroy the five Pandavas. But Vidura knew the plan by the grace of the Lord and was able to inform the Pandavas ahead of time, and they had dug an underground tunnel. So when the house came on fire, they escaped through that tunnel. So these are examples of how the Lord protects his devotees. When Duryodhana was approached by Krishna as Krishna Dut, Dut means messenger. Krishna became the messenger of the Pandavas, and on behalf of the Pandavas, he approached Duryodhana. This was prior to the battle of Kurukshetra, and said, "My dear Pandav, my dear Duryodhana, these Pandavas, they are Kshatriyas. And you know, the Kshatriya has to have some place for ruling. So please, if you want to rule the kingdom, fine, but give them 5 villages, one each, to rule." Duryodhana was so avaricious, greedy, that he responded in the way that was really quite amazing, or what we say, shocking. He said, "I wouldn't even give enough land to the Pandavas. You can put a head of a pin on it. It's all mine." And Krishna knew there was no other choice. Krishna tried to avert the battle of Kurukshetra by giving the Pandavas a lesser role in ruling. But Duryodhana wouldn't go along with any of that, and therefore he made that statement. And then, after realizing that Krishna had come on behalf of the Pandavas, and he was favoring the Pandavas, Duryodhana called his army soldiers to arrest Krishna. The soldiers came to arrest Krishna. And Krishna responded by revealing his universal form. When the soldiers saw that, they actually fell down in helplessness. Krishna showed it's a little different than the universal form that was shown to Arjuna later on, but it was the universal form. And Duryodhana saw that form also. Still, knowing that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he still opposed Krishna. You might think, how is it possible? Here is God revealing himself as God, and still one is opposing the Supreme Lord. That is not surprising when you come to understand the nature of material attachments. That material attachments are so strong and so deep. Some of them, not all, but some can be like that, where they will do anything, condemn the Lord, challenge the Lord, attack the Lord's devotees, do anything to fulfill their greedy desires for power, for possession, for fame, for material opulence. No, there's no limit to the power of material desires. And here, Duryodhana was a personification of greed. Greed simply destroys all good qualities. And Krishna, after encountering with Duryodhana, went back and said, there's no other recourse. There must be a fight. And so then when that was declared and everyone was aware that that was only the only way, then the soldiers lined up two sides, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And the Kauravas had twice as much power militarily than the Pandavas, but Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas, which is very interesting to understand. Wherever Krishna is, that is victory. At the very last statement in the Bhagavad Gita is illustrated by Sanjaya. Sanjaya was the personal servant of Dhritarashtra, and he made that statement, the last statement, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever is the pure devotee, Arjuna, there is certainly extraordinary power, opulence, morality, and victory. And that is true. No matter what the odds are materially, one who aligns themselves in the process of devotion with Krishna is always victorious, because Krishna is the supreme power in existence. And here, Maharaj Parikshit, he's empowered by his good qualities to take care of the citizens. And the personality of Godhead, personality of religion, Dharma, he's saying, your words are not simply some hollow statements. Sometimes people like to boast about their qualities, but actually the qualities and the boasting are not aligned. But Maharaj Parikshit is not like that. He could do whatever he said, and he was ready to do it, and that was protect the innocent against those who try to harass and cause mischievousness among society. He was ready. He's powerful. He's a pure devotee of the Lord, and he had a history where he was actually protected by the Lord, because at that time, Asvatthama, knowing that there was only one more heir to the throne in the Pandava dynasty, this was after the Battle of Kurukshetra, he wanted to destroy that heir, so he had the power to throw the Brahmastra weapon, which is a subtle nuclear weapon. It works by mantra, but it's very powerful. It's released by mantra, it's withdrawn by mantra. And it can go to the target wherever it is, simply by the power of chanting the mantras. And Asvatthama did that. He threw that Brahmastra and it entered into the womb of Uttara, the mother of Maharaj Parikshit. It actually killed the child, but Krishna appeared right at the same time and brought the child back to life without any harm to the child, saved the life of Maharaj Parikshit. That's where he got his name. His name Parikshit means examiner. He saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in the womb when he was just there in the womb as an unborn baby. And he remembered that form. And his whole life he was looking, where will I find that form again? So he was looking everywhere. And that's why he's called Parikshit, or the examiner. It's interesting how Krishna personally saved his life, and now he's ruling the world, and he is as powerful as Krishna, as it says here. Sometimes the devotee can exhibit as much or even more powerful than Krishna. Of course, one should understand no one is more powerful than Krishna. But Krishna empowers his devotee to do things on his behalf. And the devotee does amazing things by the grace of Krishna because he's connected with Krishna. There are many, many pastimes in the life of Krishna when he came to the material world, how his devotees were acted in such a wonderful way to carry out his instructions, where it appears that Krishna didn't do anything in that particular situation, but he simply gave the power to his devotee, and his devotee did wonderful things. Prabhupada talks about that himself. When Prabhupada was asked, when he was personally present, well, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He appeared in the land of Nadia, and he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the whole subcontinent of India. He went everywhere, expanding the whole Harinam movement everywhere. And practically the whole subcontinent of India became Krishna conscious. That's an actual historical fact. And devotees asked Prabhupada, well, Mahaprabhu was here and he did, he made practically all of India Krishna. Why didn't he just continue and just take it around the world and finish, make the whole world Krishna conscious? He was qualified to do it. He's God. And Prabhupada said, well, actually, he left it for me to do. And this is a very important point one should make, that the Lord can do anything. He is all powerful. There's nothing he can't do. You can try to think of anything that he can't do, and he'll do it anyway. And there's things you can't even think of, and he can do. The Lord is all powerful. That means there's no greater power in existence than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever he wants done will happen simply by his will. And he works in that way. But he likes to give his power to his devotee to carry out his desire for spreading Krishna consciousness, or anything. Sometimes the Lord will appear in a dream of a devotee and say, my temple is falling apart and needs repair, so please fix it. The devotee remembers the dream, wakes up and becomes inspired and works in that way, and then by the grace of the Lord, the devotee becomes successful. And the devotee gets the credit. See, this is the point. The Lord wants to give credit to his devotee. He doesn't want to take credit for himself, although he does everything through his devotees. Devotees know that also. The devotees know that their power is not their power. Their power or their ability or anything is simply coming from the Lord through the spiritual master. And therefore, devotees should understand that if there's something to be done and it seems to be impossible to do, with the empowerment of the Lord, it will eventually manifest. So the devotee always thinks in that way. Prabhupada used to say, impossible is a word in the fool's dictionary. A very strong statement that there's nothing impossible for a pure devotee of the Lord, he can do anything if the Lord sanctions it. And if the Lord sanctions it, it's just a matter of time where the devotee becomes successful. And we're seeing that as this Krishna consciousness is expanding around the world. More and more books are going out, more and more temples are opening up, more and more people are becoming active servitors of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. And more manifestations of the culture of Krishna consciousness is pervading all over, even in the Western countries. How is this possible? Sometimes people used to say, well, Prabhupada had done miracles. Yes, they are miracles in that sense, but Prabhupada would always say, what is that miracle? I simply carried out the instructions of my spiritual masters. That's my miracle. I didn't try to do anything on my own account. I simply followed his instructions and kept his mission foremost in everything. So a devotee is like that. Success of our Krishna consciousness is to understand the instructions given by the Lord through his pure devotee, carry them out and work in that way. And there's no limit to how much we can do to spread Krishna consciousness. That's why Lord Chaitanya would say, my name will be chanted in every town and village, because he knows by his will, it will happen. It's just a matter of two things, matter of time and a matter of who will have that faith in the statement of the Lord and act on behalf of the Lord to bring it about. Sometimes Prabhupada would say, if you don't do it, the next generation will do it. And if they don't do it, the next generation will do it. Somebody will do it. It'll happen. Because the Lord has said it's going to happen. So he knows past, present, and future. And he is the supreme power in existence. So one who connects with Krishna connects with that force that is everywhere, all powerful. Therefore, the devotees can do amazing things on behalf of the Lord. The more and more they surrender to the Lord and the instructions given by the Lord through the poor devotee, the more amazing things happen in spreading Krishna consciousness in the world. And in our own lives, we become free from all of the temporary activities that waste time in this material world, that simply bring us suffering, misery, and another birth. Sometimes devotees think, well, to become a pure devotee, that's impossible for me. How is it? I'm just a Mataji working in a family and I have some kids. How can I become a pure devotee? So these statements are nice, but they're not reality, because if one has a devout desire and works according to that desire to fulfill the activities of bhakti and the mission of the Lord, then no matter what position you are, you can become a great devotee. We're even seeing even little children in our movement. They are so intelligent, they can even recite the entire Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse. I've seen it. And they can give classes. 7-year-old, 6-year-old kids are giving classes. It's not something that is some kind of phenomena. It's actually happening. So the empowerment comes from the Lord, and those who take up the Lord's mission. We have the example of Dhruva Maharaj, 5-year-old boy. He was so determined. And it's interesting, Dhruva Maharaj's determination was for something material. He simply wanted a kingdom greater than his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, which is Lord Brahma himself. He wanted a material desire which was practically impossible. And he worked to please the Lord, serve the Lord, to try to get that. And when the Lord appeared to him to fulfill his desire, Dhruva Maharaj was ashamed that he had actually approached the Lord for something material. But the Lord gave it to him anyway, because of his determination and because of his devotion. But actually, he gave up his desire, but he received it anyway. Sometimes it's like that. You want something materially, you can't get it, you decide not to try it anymore, and then you engage in devotional service. And you work in that way, and then all of a sudden, those material things that you are trying for, Krishna provides them in your life automatically, just to please his devotee. He does that. He does different things to please his devotee. He loves to serve his devotee. But, and of course, it says here, any promise made by a devotee, which means the pure devotee, though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. Prabhupada would use the example. If the pure devotee tells you, I will take you back home, back to Godhead, then Krishna will have to fulfill that statement. Whatever the pure devotee says, the Lord will automatically carry out. That's his love for his pure devotee. So everyone can become a pure devotee because everyone is, in essence, a pure devotee, in the sense that the soul is never touched by material activities or material desires. The soul is pure, but the coverings of the material energy give this impression that one is less than what one is actually. Well, if one carries out the instructions of the Lord with determination, in the Upadesh Amrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, Nectar of Devotion, he gives the formula. One has to be enthusiastic. One has to be determined. One has to be patient. All of these qualities and one has to execute the process, along with carrying these qualities along with the execution of the process. And if one does that, then ultimately one will be favored by pure devotional service. So it's always there. So Prabhupada used to say about himself, I have this problem. I can't think small. Problem, he used to think big. He used to say, he made a statement, shoot for the rhino. A rhino is an animal, a powerful animal, that no one can kill an animal. That rhino, the rhino comes charging at you, your guns will not work against that animal. He runs so fast and he's very powerful. And to capture a rhino is very difficult and impossible. But then he would say, but try for it. And if you do it, the world, everyone will say, wonderful achievement, wonderful, wonderful. And if you don't do it, they will say, well, it was difficult anyway. So one has to think big in Krishna consciousness, not think very small. Think big is, how can I become a pure devotee? What do I have to do to come to the stage of actually acting on the platform of pure devotional service? And simply by that desire and execution of the process, following the instructions of the spiritual master, one becomes empowered by the Lord to carry out his activities where they purify the soul and bring the soul to the lotus feet of the Lord in pure devotional service. And Krishna is always there for his devotee. He never leaves his devotee, for a bat of an eyelash. He stays with his devotees always. His devotees are so dear to him. But one should not take advantage of the Lord's love for his devotee by doing anything else but the activities which will please the Lord. And the devotee wants to please the Lord more than anything else, because he knows to please the Lord will make the Lord happy, and if the Lord is happy, the devotee thinks there's nothing else that I have to aspire for. Krishna is pleased by my service. That's all. Okay, so here's very powerful statements here by the personification of religion in the form of a bull. And stay with this series of verses. It gets more and more interesting as it goes on day by day. It unfolds into more and more interesting discussions centered around what is actually the cause of suffering. Okay, we'll stop there.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. So dear devotees, we will open up the session for Q&A. You can go ahead and raise your hand. Anything that you would like to share or talk or realization. You can also put your questions in the chat window. If you are not able to talk, you can type and I can relay the question on your behalf. So we have two hands raised. So Rajeshwari Mataji, please go ahead and ask your question.
That's Raj over
Oh,
there.
sorry, yes, Maharaj. Raj Prabhu, sorry. Apologies.
Hi,
Please
Krishna,
go
thank
ahead.
you. Raj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, all glories to all of the devotees. Maharaj, when you were speaking about the verse and you said, Krishna protects his devotees, and you went on to say that it's not easy to become a devotee. So please can you explain does it mean to become a devotee?
Well, if one becomes a pure devotee, that means that they, by their pure love and devotion to Krishna, they control Krishna by that love. And Krishna is controlled by love, by pure devotion. So Krishna doesn't give himself so easily. That's what it means. To have Krishna in that position of being there always for his devotee, giving the devotee everything they need, even himself. He gives himself to his pure devotees. It's not a small thing in the sense that it means one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead by that love. He's only controlled by love. But to get to that platform of pure love for Krishna is not something that happens so easily. You have to really practice that devotional mood every moment to come to that stage of loving devotional service. We say there is three things. There is bhakta, the devotee, bhakti, the process of pure devotional service, and Bhagavan, Krishna. Out of the three, the most powerful is bhakti. Bhakti controls Bhagavan. Bhakti is personified by Srimati Radharani. She is Bhakti Devi, personification of unalloyed love for Krishna. She controls Krishna through her pure love. And if we develop pure love for Krishna, or at least aspire to develop that, then we've become more and more connected with Krishna in every activity we perform, and Krishna is always there for his devotee. Always. It's not a matter of just occasionally or sometimes. He's there always for his devotee.
Thank you, Maharaj. So does that mean that is it the devotees that have gone through all of the stages all the way up to Krishna Prema stage, or the devotees that are maybe like at some of the earlier stages before Krishna Krishna Prema stage, are they also pure devotees, or is it only the topmost?
The 9 stages are there, and each stage is a characteristic. As you
Mm,
go to higher stages, you develop more and more complete love for Krishna. Coming to the platform of prema is the beginning of pure devotional service. Bhava Bhakti, which is the stage before then, has all of the symptoms of pure devotional service, but it hasn't reached perfection yet. Only when it reaches prema. And prema has 8 stages as it goes through higher and higher depths of pure love for Krishna. And until you come to the gopis of Vrindavan, where they're on the higher stage of Mahabhav. Mahabhav is the final stage, the 8th stage of pure love. And there's only 3 people in existence that have Mahabhav. And that's Srimati Radharani, Lord Chaitanya, and Madhavendra Puri. That's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So to come to that high, the ultimate platform of Mahabhav is practically impossible for the conditioned soul, but they can come to the platform of prema. Because prema is actually the nature of the soul's existence. So coming back to prema means coming back to your natural constitutional position of eternal servant of the Lord in the mood of pleasing the Lord in all and every activity.
okay. So are you saying that it's not so easy to get to that stage?
Yeah, and the Charyas say the same thing. It's not so
Okay.
easy. In other words, you can't just turn on that stage and expect to be there.
Mm,
One to love Krishna. You have to actually purify your consciousness through the process of bhakti step by step. And so initiation means beginning.
mm.
Initiation is the 3rd stage out of the 9. It's the beginning stage. Before initiation, we're practicing to begin.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Once we take a spiritual master, then we get Krishna's mercy in the form of the spiritual master's guidance, grace, and mercy. And he moves us through the higher stages as we follow his instructions.
So is the following the instructions the key to working your way through the stages?
Yeah, that Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir, Tata Devi Tata Guru, Tasyaita Kartita Prakyatra Prakasananta Mahatmanaha. One who has implicit faith in both Guru and Krishna, all the imports of all Vedic knowledge automatically revealed to the devotee. The devotee becomes full in transcendental knowledge and fixed in devotional service. Spiritual master's instructions is the life and soul of the disciple.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dear devotees, a gentle request if you can turn on your cameras, if possible, that would be appreciated to make the session more personal, interactive. And if you have any questions as well about the topic, which is quite important. So, Maharaj, I had a follow-up question. I had questions from Prabhuji's last question and your answer, where also you mentioned Srila Prabhupada said that all I did was follow the instructions of my spiritual master. So my question was, what stops a disciple actually following the orders of the spiritual master? Mind comes up with a lot of their own ideas and concoction many times and their own thought process. And when the guru, either it be a Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, instructs, mind is very obstinate to listen.
Yeah, that's the problem, the mind. Material desires, material attachments, thinking I know better than the spiritual master. All of these things are, sometimes we're afraid to make spiritual advancement. There's a fear, if I make too much spiritual advancement, what will happen to my material life? We get fearful like that. So one becomes hesitant due to the attachment of material life. Material attachments can go very deep. They do. But material attachments are insignificant because they're not real. They're just ephemeral. They're simply something that has come by way of our association with this material body and the material world. They have nothing to do with me, the soul. But because I live in the material world, I adopt all of these, these desires. And then I center my success, my life around these desires. And then I live and I work in that way. Let me practice Krishna consciousness, but not too much. Because if I make too much advancement, what will happen to me? There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, yeah. One becomes afraid of illumination. I've even experienced it myself many years ago. When I saw Krishna taking everything away from me, I got a little bit overwhelmed. But then later on, when I came to my senses, I regretted that I was somewhat resistant as he was taking the things away from me that I wanted to be taken away, but I wasn't ready at the same time. But then I realized it was so stupid on my part. And Krishna gave me another chance. So yeah, sometimes he gives you a chance to, in an accelerated way, to look at your attachments and say, goodbye. You think, oh no, how will I live? How will I exist? How will I enjoy? So we have to build our faith through transcendental knowledge. As our faith increases, then we are more and more understanding that there's nothing compared to pure devotional service in terms of the success of the living entity's existence. One should aspire to become a pure devotee because that's perfection.
Maharaj, increasing faith, we have to hear the transcendental words from a spiritual master, but then the mind keeps doubting those words. So how we make progress then?
Don't listen to your mind.
Okay.
You listen to your mind, as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says, your mind is your is your worst enemy. Mind is not you. It's a conditioned element that it has adopted desires, activities based on your association with the material energy. That's all. You think you're a man, you think you're a woman, you think you're a husband, you think you're a wife, you think you're, whatever you want to think you are. This is called Janasamahami Hamameti. It's all illusion. We only have one identity. Jiva Sarupai Krishna and Nityadas. That's our only identity. We're pure spiritual beings. And we have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna and devotion. That's our identity. We have accepted a material identity to live in this world and function. And based on that material identity, we develop material attachments and desires. And based on that, the mind becomes, what we say, filled with our own conceptions of what is good for me. Like that. So the spiritual master's duty is to push his disciples in a direction where they can gradually give up all of these attachments. Sometimes a devotee will like to give up everything all at once. But sometimes, and then when they do, they feel, oh my God, what did I do? I can't function anymore. So we recommend the gradual process, but the gradual process is not a process that is only gradual. It is progressive, but gradual. It's moving in one direction, not stopping at any point. We have to see, am I coming more attached to Krishna or my material activities and material desires year by year?
Thank you, Maharaj. Sridevi Mataji, you have a question? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dinanath. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Guru Maharaj, as I'm hearing this class, I'm thinking, become pure devotee? Is that shooting for the moon? What gives me the right to even think that I can become a pure devotee? People say, oh, you're getting too big for your boots. You think you can become pure devotee suddenly in one lifetime? So how one can actually aspire, because this is actually the position we should be aspiring for, but it can come across as becoming very proud, arrogant, shooting for something that's impossible, not being humble enough, etc. So,
These are all fantasies of the mind, that's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
The process is pure devotional service. What we're executing is pure devotional service. The process itself. We enter into the process as a mixed devotee. So we're practicing pure devotion with a mixed conception of devotional activity. We still have material attachments and material desires, and we hold on to them, and we're still following the process. Therefore, the process is slow. If we come to the position of understanding that I only want Krishna, and continue on with your life and the way you're living, gradually you'll see your attachments to Krishna will increase, and you become more and more detached and disgusted with material things. It's a process. It works. It centers around chanting the holy name of the Lord and developing quality in our chanting. And chanting is the basis of our purification of the heart. Cheto darpana marjana bhava mahadevagni nirvapanam Shreya kaiva vikendrikaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam bhuri vardhanam patipadam purnam rita swardanam sarvatma snaparam param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Lord Chaitanya has given the process in that first verse. He mentions the benefits of chanting the holy names of the Lord. It brings one to the platform of pure consciousness. And through the association of devotees and execution of our prescribed duties in devotional service, we can move forward to the stage of pure devotional service. And the process is susukam kartamavyayam. Krishna says the process is joyful. It's not miserable. It's not a miserable thing. It's not like, oh, it's so difficult. The difficulty is our desire to keep our attachments. It's like a tug of war. The process is pulling us closer to Krishna, and at the same time, we're pulling the other way. That's the difficulty. There's no other difficulty. If one just, there's a statement that was made by, I think it was Vibhishan who made this statement when he surrendered to Ram after giving up his association with his brother Ravana. And the statement is, my dear Lord, from this day on, I'm yours. Whatever you desire from me, I'm ready. I have no other desire but your desire. And you make that prayer and then follow the process, and Krishna will move you to the platform of pure devotional service. We can't do it alone, but we have to have the desire to do it. The desire is the foundation by which things start to happen. If we don't have that desire, then whatever desire we have, we'll try to fulfill that desire. I want to be happy materially, and I want to be a devotee. You can do that for a little while, but then you'll find yourself at one point having to choose which direction you're going to go in. Krishna gives everyone a chance, and everyone is on a different platform. There's 27 of us here today. We're not all on the same level of practicing devotional service. Some are more advanced, some are less advanced, some are just beginning the process, some are fixed in the whole process of pure devotionals. There's different levels. You have to see where you are and how to move forward simply by following the process. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you want to know how to make advancement, do one thing. Develop attentive chanting in your japa. He said you will make a fast advancement. Prabhupada makes that statement too. Learn how to chant attentively. Hear every syllable. Absorb yourself in the sound of the holy name. That's difficult because the mind is restless and will go hither and thither. But still, you practice that, and you're determined. Ekavrata. Ekavrata means I want to fulfill that desire to come to the level of chanting without offense, pure chanting. And that is the most powerful focus you can make in Krishna consciousness. And of course, service and association with devotees is just equally as important. To associate with and to serve devotees brings us to the platform of pure chanting. They work together. These two things, serving Vaishnavas and chanting the holy name, you got the process practically complete within those two activities.
So supposing we say,
These
I
are
really,
the essence.
yes, Guru Maharaj. So in one of my classes, I said, the aim of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. And in the end, one devotee asked me, so it sounds as though you want liberation, you want to go back to Godhead. The pure devotee doesn't want anything. He just wants to serve the Lord. So it sounds like this is a personal desire.
Well,
And
Prabhupada talks about that. He says the same thing, but he also says the other also. He says very few people want to go back to Godhead. Very few. But if you want to go back to Godhead, then Krishna thinks, oh, I will help that person to come back to me. But then again, when one tastes the happiness of devotional service through the process of devotional service, one thinks, I just want to serve. It's so wonderful. I just want to serve the Lord. Just like you had the example of Chitraketu. He was cursed by Parvati to go to hell. He offered his obeisances to Mother Parvati with folded hands. He thanked her. And he said, whatever you, my dear mother, whatever you are ordained for me, I'm on my way. Shiva was there, Lord Shiva, his wife, her husband. He started to chant the glories of the pure devotees, that it doesn't matter wherever they are, they always keep their consciousness focused on Krishna, whether in their heaven, hell, Mayapur, London, wherever they are, Dallas, wherever they are, they keep their consciousness focused on Krishna. It doesn't matter what material situation they are. Some material situations are better than others, obviously, but a devotee doesn't depend on that for becoming Krishna conscious. They depend on simply keeping their consciousness focused on serving the Lord and remembering the Lord. Narayana para sarvena kushtisha na vidyati swapa bhapa pavargasya tu yarta. I can't remember the whole thing, that verse from spoken by Lord Shiva. He spoke it with such enthusiasm. It's mentioned in the 4th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayana para sarvena kushchana vidyati svalpa pargava arvasya to the artha. I can't remember the whole verse, but anyway, he says the devotees of the Lord are like a compass, and the compass is always gauged towards the north. So wherever they are, they're always focused on Krishna, whether it's heaven, hell, or in between.
So it's only our material attachments which are holding us back from fully surrendering.
What's not so much our material attachments, our misconceptions of devotional service. We don't know how it works. That's why we're having these classes, to explain how it works, how Krishna relates to his devotees, how the devotee relates to Krishna, how the material energy affects the devotee, how the devotee chooses Krishna over material desires. These are all things that we come in contact with. We have to learn the science of bhakti. It works. But if we don't know it, then we won't be able to practice it properly.
So when we serve the devotees, Guru Maharaj, just as a follow-up, we are engaging in devotional service by serving the devotees of the Lord. In whatever situation we may be, whatever the difficulties, as long as we are continually serving, we are remaining in the internal energy of the Lord. Is that correct?
Yeah, as long as you're serving under the guidance of the spiritual master, not creating your own ideas on what is service.
Yes,
That's
Guru Maharaj.
what the
Thank you.
master is there. You ask, Guru Maharaj, how can I serve? How can I make advancement? And then he'll tell you. But nobody asks that because they're afraid of the answer. I better not ask that question. You know, I might get something I don't want.
I did ask, and you told me, Guru Maharaj, remember in Govardhan Eco Village? You said you need to work on this. You remember?
I think I said so many things.
I'm
Depending on
working on them.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we are of the hour, but there's one hand is raised by Namrata Mataji. If that's okay, we can take another question.
Yeah, we can go for maybe 10 more minutes, the most.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead and ask.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, on this note, continuing the discussion, uh, so we have in our process, we have mentors, and then, so before we reach to our guru, we should take our material issues and all those to mentor. And personally, what I have seen is when it comes to the mentor level, mentors are always go diplomatic in your material life, try to balance that. They try to make us compassionate towards, whom you are dealing with, whom you are having some, clashes, whatever. But when it comes to a guru, um, guru will say, I mean, he is like heavy. He says, cut off that knot. I mean, he, the thing that is hurdle in the process of devotional service to the Lord, just cut that thing. So the confusion is to be gentle or go. I mean, go just straight and cut the knot. Well, what to do? Sometimes this confuses me, Guru Maharaj.
Well, the idea is to get there, whether you go straight or you take a side route and get there anyway. The idea is to get there. The spiritual master cannot patronize one's material desires and expect to become a spiritual master. He's not there to pat us on the back saying, oh, it's all right. You have all these material desires and they're like your children. But, the mentor might be a little bit more lenient. Sometimes mentors are even more strict. Depends on the mentor. When the mentor system allows for the spiritual master to be able to give his information, therefore the mentors have to be in touch with the spiritual master in order for them to understand how best to mentor their mentees. Otherwise, they can come up with some things that may not be beneficial. So a mentor has to be qualified to do the service. So we hopefully we set up a mentorship system with qualified people who can do that service to guide their mentees who are devotees of the spiritual master. And the mentors should be also disciples of the spiritual master. In some cases, they're not. Just like I got a letter just yesterday from one disciple, and she wants to do certain things. So then she said her mentor told her it was a great idea. And then she went to one of my disciples who is also her mentor too. She had two mentors. One is the designated one, the other one is one that assists. And she also agreed. So both of them agreed that what she wanted to do was good for her. And I didn't really investigate the whole situation in terms of what was about to unfold. And I said, well, if both of them say it's good for you, then you have my blessings, you have my permission. That was just yesterday. I came up with that situation. So the spiritual master goes along with the mentors, but the mentors have to make sure that they're representing the spiritual master. It's a system that is needed, but it also can cause a little bit of miscommunication if the mentors are not qualified to do the job as mentors. Therefore, training mentors to become mentors is the process of becoming a mentor. We have Soma Datri here. She's online. She mentors about 8 people, 8 to 10 people at a time. They always come to her. But I know she's qualified. So because I can see the results coming from the persons that she takes care of. So yeah, that's a whole system. If you want to learn more about the mentorship system and want to plug into that system, just contact Radha Bhakti, and she'll help you get a mentor and set you up with yeah, she'll help you get a mentor.
Thank you, Maharaj. I do have a mentor here, but the mentor is the local mentor here. So, but the issue is that mentor is not well connected with you. That is the issue for me.
Then you explain this. There are 2 people who are in charge with the mentorship system. They are the leaders of the mentors also. 1 female and 1 male. Females must have female mentors, males, like that. Then you go to the head of the mentorship system and explain the situation, and they're supposed to report to the spiritual master.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for that question.
Okay.
Thank you,
We
Maharaj.
can stop here.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha samaveta bhakta vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you very much for today. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Say one thing, if you're living in
Thank you.
if you're living in the UK,